Fragments of silicon, not for internal use or external use.
All right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon Daylight interviews. Joining us this week is Geoff C. of Little Crown Games. Okay. Right, so how we like to get started is we like to get to know the people behind the game, the studio, and all of that business, and we do this by asking this question. What got you interested in video games, both on a personal and a professional level?
Well, on a personal level, I started with the Super Nintendo and worked my way up through every Nintendo product. So childhood was mostly defined by the N64 and the GameCube. There's definitely that. And on a professional level, I guess I started taking programming classes in high school and kind of had wait a minute, you can do this, you can make these yourself, and never stopped, never put it down.
And when did that occur?
Like my sort of senior year of high school, there was a programming class way back in the day learning Visual Basic. So it wasn't even video games, it was just like programming applications, but I began going home and trying to make games with it.
And what was the progression there?
Well, I guess the progression went something like Visual Basic, so old, into trying to make games with Flash. So when I moved through college, I was trying to use Flash and ActionScript. And then when I found Unity after that, I think somewhere Unity 5 maybe, when it was before they started naming them after the years, that I found Unity and was so happy with it. I had tried Unreal Engine as well and found it much harder to use, and Unity was just plug and play and was great, and now I just use Unity.
That comes up in conversations here quite often, actually. Unity versus Unreal, and that does seem to be the consensus.
Yeah, completely. Unreal was very frustrating, and in like the same day, sort of playing with both of them, I got much further through Unity and doing like the same kind of tutorial, like trying to make the same basic game, and was like, this is it. There's no going back. It's much easier to use.
Yeah, sounds about right. And after you found Unity, how long did you tinker with it before you were able to finally, make commercially viable games?
Ooh, a good question. And for me, it was a long time. Oh my gosh, I don't even know when I started with my first Unity. I think we're talking like 10 years where I started, and I just kind of threw out project after project. Like I'd get so far with it and be like, this isn't good enough, like this isn't right, until I finally got up to the point where Plungeroo was like the thing. I was like, this is it, it's ready, it can be handled, it can withstand the public. But it was a long process, and it moved through different mediums as well. I started actually in VR, so I started trying to make a VR game, and that was a little bit ambitious. And then I sort of moved into mobile, and then made a couple of mobile things and had friends play them, and then sort of landed on this one as like the one that I think works the best, feels the best when you play it.
Right. I suppose, are your mobile games still available?
No, I only got the guts to put one of them on Google Play. It was a little game called Lunchblocks, and I ended up taking it down because it was very like creaky under the hood. There was lots of bugs and issues with it, and knowing so much more than I know now, I also know that supporting it, plugging all those holes in the boat, as you will, would not have been worth it. So I just was like, we're just going to remove this for now. It's fine.
Okay. Right. So getting to Plungeroo here.
Mhm.
What about it spoke to you and said, "This is the one"? This is the project that I'm finally in. This is the one I'm going to release to the public.
Totally. I think it had a satisfying hook. When the ball drops in when you solve the puzzle, it has a great dopamine hit, for lack of a better way of saying that. And it was also very expandable. So, sort of, Plungeroo came from the idea of like, what's a very simple concept that I can then slowly add, that's satisfying at its core, but that you can slowly add more to and make a lot of levels out of. There was sort of this, I wanted like a Lego blocks way in my own mind of like, how do I build a taller and taller tower, but keep it easy enough to click together? And then I knew from like the Lunchbox sort of fiasco, I knew it would be easier to support and keep stable. So that those were sort of all elements that came together and felt like this is the one.
And how did you hit upon pinball?
It was the other way around. It was sort of like I was trying to just come up with an idea, and then I was explaining it to a friend, like, "Oh, it ricochets around," and then it was like, "What does this remind me of? What's the art that I can put on top of this? Like, what's the theme, kind of?" And it just felt like a pinball machine with all the ricocheting, but the concept of you have one shot, kind of like a video game trope of things sliding on ice, or like it'll slide until it hits something else and then get redirected and keep sliding, sort of that idea. And then pinball just sort of felt like the right theme to put on top of that.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that kind of puzzle.
Completely. Yeah, I didn't reinvent the wheel here, or
No, no.
all art is
But
derivative.
yeah, right. But I think the thing that differentiates this mechanically are the bumpers here. Well, they're yeah, they're bumpers.
Yeah, the various bumpers and the bumper types.
Yeah. Not to be confused with actual pinball flippers, which I'm not sure appear in the game actually.
I don't have it open, but I can certainly speak to it.
I mean, did you put pinball flippers in Plungeroo?
Oh, in the game. Not exactly. Nothing that you interact with in real time. The puzzles always play out sort of in the sense of like hitting a play button and then watching as it plays out. I didn't want there to be any kind of reaction time, anything timing you. I wanted the game to be calm and to be at your own pace, so it plays out after you've set everything up. So there isn't anything like that. But there are flippers that do flip in the more traditional sense than the triangle bumpers that you see in sort of the trailer and stuff like that.
But I mean, that makes sense because this is a pinball flavored puzzle game, not an actual pinball game.
Yes, and that was something I was really worried about. Like, I didn't want people to download it and be like, "This isn't a puzzle game or a pinball game." So I tried to really keep it in the tagline. This is a pinball themed puzzler. This is a puzzle game first and foremost.
And I suppose the question there is, have you gotten any complaints about this being not a actual pinball game?
I haven't. I mean, I'm waiting. I feel like it's going to happen eventually, but so far, no one has said anything, which I'm pretty surprised about, honestly. But pleased.
And I suppose another question is, are there any other pinball accoutrements in the game?
I guess I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, I did try to pull various different things from pinball boards, the pop bumpers, regular flippers, triangle bumpers, accelerators, etc. I looked up a lot of, like what pinball machines are actually made of, all the magnets and everything. It was all really interesting. And then I
Okay.
just tried to take what I could.
See, I'm like, and it looks like you do have some other, gimmicks here. Like right now on screen, we've got water level. Like,
Yeah, there's empty spaces that get filled in sort of to create, you kind of build the board yourself.
mhm. And clearly, the puzzle is figuring out where the blocks go, or tiles.
Yes, yeah. The game sort of alternates between you figuring out the path for the ball, or also kind of putting the pieces together in a more traditional, like literal puzzle sense of like having to build the board with puzzle pieces.
Right. And what other sort of environmental themes might be found in Plungeroo?
Oh yeah. I mean, I can tell you all of them if you want to be spoiled, or I can just say a couple.
I mean, I'm not sure how concerned people are about that kind of spoiler.
Yeah. It's more of an art spoiler. I think it's really fun when you unlock a new world and you get to see the new color schemes and stuff. But some of the themes are cake is a good one. There's a all black and white level that sort of comes to life as you hit the various pieces into like rainbow colors. There's a superhero themed one from like old superhero cabinets, so it has sort of Captain America colors, stuff like that.
Okay. And I was more referring to like more environmental hazards. Like, is there like lava, or a bunch of lava levels or something like that, or stone, or things of that nature?
No, not really. Things build on the just the pinball. Sorry, I like your word accoutrements is a great word. So sort of just those traditional pinball pieces. Sort of the final mechanic at the very end around World 10 is a billiard themed world, and so the multi-ball aspect of pinball that happens when the board gets flooded with various other balls. That sort of thing that happens. You get an additional ball that ricochets around at the same time. Is sort of one of the other things that happens.
Okay. And how many levels or worlds or content is currently in Plungeroo?
So another good question, because it's about to change. So right now, if you buy the game on Steam, or on Google Play, it's 8 worlds, which is 72 levels and 72 puzzles, plus a bonus one that's hidden somewhere if you can find it. And on May 24th, I'm going to release sort of the 2.0 update. It's a free update, and it will complete the game, bringing the total to 100 puzzles and be 11 total worlds.
And can you give us any details in what that future update might hold?
Oh yeah, the billiard world is from World 10, so 9, 10, and 11 will be in the update, so that will come with that.
Okay.
And the final world is sort of a outer galaxy arcade theme with some fun sort of moving textures and things like that.
And I'm assuming this is going to be a free update?
Yes, it's a free update, so if you already have it, it'll just appear and you should be able to just keep on playing.
Okay. And is the price going to shift any when this update hits?
I think I'm just going to leave it at the $4.99 that it currently is now.
Okay. And let me see here. Taking a step back, how long have you been working on Plungeroo?
Another good question. It took, so obviously I work full time. I'm a professional animator, so that's sort of my day job. So try to keep that in mind that it's like while working full time and working on this on the side, it took about 3 years to make Plungeroo.
I'm like, that's a fairly typical time for our program, mainly because we do get a lot of people who, solo dev part time. And
For sure.
that,
As the kids would call it, their side hustle.
Oh, those kids. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I'm like, Now, were you expecting this game to take 3 years?
No, the original challenge was to see what I could get done within 1 year, and then it just sort of kept going. And I knew that I wanted to hit 100 levels. That sort of became the goal, and it was like 100 levels or bust. But that's why I released it early too, because I got to a point around the sort of 2.5 year mark where I just wanted to put it out there. I was like, I need to experience it being on Steam, going through all of those steps, finding out these things, Steam Next, participating in these various things. Since that's such an important part of the process by itself, I was like, wherever the game is at, it's got to go. And then we can always add more on top of that. And so that's kind of the route that I took.
Was it in early access?
No, I didn't do that. I ended up giving out lots of keys to friends and family, and that was sort of where my main testing pool came from. Because what I also found, and you can kind of see this if you watch videos of Plungeroo on YouTube, of which there are sort of a handful, and it's that once one person does something, most other people do it the same way. So if there's a problem, it comes up within 2 people of doing it, and you're like, all right, I got it. It doesn't need like a massive tester pool. It's like if 2 people can't figure it out, then it's too hard, and so on.
And I'm guessing that proved invaluable to the development of Plungeroo here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Having people play your game is so important. If you're a solo dev and you're listening, don't be scared. Get your game in the hands of people, because, you're always too close to it and you need to see other people handle it to see how other people will interact with it.
I think that's come up on the program here from time to time.
I can see that. I think it's like a common theme amongst art. It's just don't keep all your art to yourself. You have to. It's scary, but you have to show it to other people in order to improve.
Well, it's come up in a few different contexts. Like one that comes to mind is difficulty. Because this is something that's been a issue in game dev for many decades. Because I remember it coming up in regards to, let's say, an industry legend. But it's like a thing that a lot of developers do is get really good at their own game.
Oh yeah.
So and I could absolutely seeing that happen with Plungeroo here, when all the solutions and probably the optimal way to do every level.
Completely. It was a huge problem. Yeah, it really is. Totally. And when you know all the solutions to your own puzzles, you can't experience it again for the first time. So you kind of need constant people to be doing that.
Yeah. And, this is where you get the outside testing to see how neophytes will handle your puzzles or what have you.
Yes, and just do things that you don't expect. I think I was very fortunate. Plungeroo was played by Alien Rocks, the YouTuber, and there's actually a bug that occurs in that video. It was a super simple thing to fix, but the way he used the right click or the undo function was just something I never did. It was just, it was this really simple thing. It just was not the way that I played my own game. And here somebody just did this one little thing. Like, of course, that's an easy, bug to fix. It never occurred to me. Just some things just never occur to you. And now that bug is immortalized forever in that YouTube video.
I'm like, better that it was found at all, or at least, it's better that it didn't become a bigger issue than it was.
Totally, yeah. I'm grateful, and it's all fixed and all that. So, but it is funny.
Indeed. So the game has been out for, I think, about half a year now. Let me see.
I released it in October. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, October 27th. Yeah, I think that's been about half a year. So what's been the reception on Steam and Google, Google Play, Android, so far?
Sure. The Steam has been interesting. I haven't done very much marketing, not a whole lot of stuff like that, and I've been very pleasantly surprised with the fact that it sells. Kind of whatever the Steam algorithm is doing behind the scenes, it's definitely helping me, and that's been very nice. Although I'd like to get more into marketing if I can, since when it's all done. So the reception on Steam has been good, and it's been mostly positive reviews. Like, people say really nice things. The music gets complimented a lot. That was actually done by my friend Whitaker, so he did a great job. So that's been cool. The Google Play, I'll say, on the other hand, sort of by contrast, has like squashed and buried me. That's not selling nearly as well, and there doesn't seem to be any steam. Well, for lack of a better word here, any steam gathering. There's no snowballing on the Google Play Store the way that there seems to be on the Steam Store. So I guess I'll say I think Steam sort of has its developers' backs to a certain extent. That I do feel like I'm getting helped in that way.
Yeah, it's Steam is a frequent topic of conversation here because honestly, most of the developers we feature on our program release their stuff on Steam or Steam First or stuff like that. Though trying to figure out how the logarithm works is an eternal mystery.
It will be, yeah. They're going to keep that a secret.
Yeah. But if I had to hazard a guess that what's going on with this game, it stands out.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's what came to me when I first saw it. Because it's not another roguelike Metroidvania, what have you. I'm not saying those are bad games, but there's a lot of them. It's like contrast to how many pinball flavored puzzle games there are in the world. So
not quite as many.
Right. So, it's got a tinge of uniqueness to it, no matter how derivative the actual mechanics may be. Right. Now, Google Play does not surprise me at all because, everything I've heard from people who make games for Google Play, Android, is paid products don't do well.
That's what I hear too. It does feel something of a doomed mission, but I'm trying.
Right. Now, I suppose another question in this field is, are there any plans to bring Little Crown games to iOS?
A good question, and one I get asked a lot. I actually don't own any Apple products, and you need a Mac computer to export the iOS build. So there's sort of this, like, if Plungeroo reaches enough sales, it can maybe buy. I mean, you know how Apple products are. It's like $1 billion for a laptop.
Right.
So if I can sort of get one laptop, then yes, I would like to. I'm kind of more focused on the Steam and the Android for now, and actually I'm getting a little more interested in attempting an AR version and looping all the way back around to the beginning of my game journey of VR and seeing if I can bring it into the world of VR first, since I have everything I need to do that.
Okay, though you said AR.
Yeah, I'm thinking AR.
AR is not VR.
Yes. It would be, I think, AR, because it doesn't need to fully immerse you and be VR. I think it's better if it's like in your environment on your desk or something, and you can tinker with the little pinball cabinet. I think would be very cute.
Yeah, I'm like, I suppose it is worth asking, what would a VR version of Plungeroo look like? Because just seeing the game here, it's like this is not a VR game in any sense of the word. It's 2D. It's very flat.
It is, at least the style that you see. Yes. Plungeroo is sort of secretly 3D, so all of those assets are actually already built and already 3D. It's flattened by the orthographic camera. So it's, in a weird way, kind of already set up.
Well, that's good to know, actually.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, the effect works well because, it looks very 2D-ish. So,
thanks. Yeah, definitely that's the style. It was sort of to look like a vector art type of style, but it is actually all CG.
Yeah. And, I guess if you were to convert it this would be easier than some other projects that we've featured on the program this week.
Definitely, yeah. The goal is not to be complicated. You get to pick up the little pieces, snap them onto the board, pull the little plunger. It would just be like a very simple, satisfying thing for you to tinker with, but nothing complicated.
Right. So sidestepping that, I suppose, the other logical question in terms of what to do with Plungeroo is, have you given any thought to console version?
Oh, fantasies for sure. I think it would be really cool to have on the Nintendo Switch, but I'll admit it's a little opaque as to exactly how you go about doing that, but I am trying to do some research into it.
I'm like, I couldn't tell you, what I do know is you have to know, people at Nintendo, have connections there in order to get a license to develop for their platform.
I see.
But yeah, it's like I could definitely see this game working well on the Nintendo Switch. Like, that environment's much more friendly to games like this than Android is. No idea if it actually do well, but I just know the overall market. And do you have any plans for a non-Plungeroo project?
A few, I guess nothing that I'm going to comment on right now, but yes, as somebody who kind of keeps a notebook close by, I have doodled many, many ideas over the many years. And as this project draws to a close, which has been very surreal feeling since it's been the main thing on my mind for so long, it's cool to start beginning to actually take those ideas out and try to explore them further.
Well, it's also good that the experience has been pleasant enough for you to continue on. That's a thing that not every dev does. Granted, there are other factors involved, but it does happen.
Sure, I believe it. I mean, I think before I released it in October, I was definitely feeling that. Like, you can probably ask my mom. I'm sure I said something to some effect of, like, I can't do this again. Like, ugh. But I also know myself well enough that I'll always come back to it. I think that even after it sort of beats you down and you get through it, you get back up. Because if you just like it that much, you'll kind of always come back to it.
Right then. So I think I've run through my gamut of questions. I'll see if my colleagues here have anything further for you.
I think
Sure.
I'm good. It's just been interesting to play around with. I do like that you have a hint system built in. Because some of these, my brain's like, "Ooh, what the hell?"
Yeah, the hint system is good, and also getting a nice update for the 2.0, so it'll sort of get you even better, even better solutions, especially in the future puzzles that come out. Some of them don't have any pieces that you snap to the board. They're just the pieces on the board. So I had to come up with a new way to use the hint system to show you, give you hints as to which direction things should be facing as you try to solve the puzzle. Right. So the current hint system doesn't do that, but it will. It will. Just wait.
So do all the puzzles have a set solution, or is it just you can kind of figure it out and the hint system will just give you an option you can do?
Some, very few. Most of them have one solution to the puzzle. And the goal was always that there would be one solution and that the solution would use all the pieces. Some friends and family and so on have found solutions to puzzles where they didn't use all the pieces and stuff like that. I've tried to close all of those loopholes as much as possible, but there are 100 of them and a lot of possibilities, so it was kind of hard.
Fair enough.
But yeah, the goal is always to use all the pieces, and there is supposed to be one set solution.
All right, I think that's it for me then.
I think I'm good, but it does look like a fun game.
Thank you.
And thank you for the codes that you provided.
Of course, yeah.
I will note that we have put this game on the review queue for next season. So look for that in a few weeks. But
cool. Thank you so much.
Indeed. In the meantime, the game is Plungeroo. It is currently available on Android, Google Play Store, and Steam for $4.99. So be sure to pick it up today.
Please do, and
Right.
keep an eye out for the update. 100 puzzles.
Right. So yeah, that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. Be sure to tune in next time for the Sunday reviews. And until next time, I shall wish you good gaming.